That Davis Show. We are back. Ryan Bukoveski and myself, Kenneth Davis. Make sure you follow my executive producer, Ryan Bukoveski, at Ryan Beesky and Ryan Beesky1. And you can always follow me at That's Davis. This is an all draft Bear show. All right. We're just coming straight. Even off top is going to be something about the Bears, basically, because this is the week we finally have a first. We finally have a first round pick. It's been so long. Jay Cutler took him from me. Khalil Mack took him from me. At least Khalil Mack was better to a certain degree. And being a kid that grew up loving that all drafts, particularly NFL and NBA, even the MLB is getting better because the hit rate has kind of gotten better over the last 5 years to a certain degree. And they've tried to make the product better, but still, NFL draft followed by the NBA draft are things that I've always loved and endeared me growing up. So it makes me, I didn't even think, what are you about to say?
I got an off top for you. Just came up with it on the fly.
Go right ahead.
Favorite young, I want a young Kenneth Davis, not a recent Kenneth Davis, but a favorite draft memory of yours.
Okay.
For me, I'll give you one to give you a second to think about it. That was our thing as dad, brother, myself. My dad passed away, so that's that thing. And then my brother only lived with us when I was in when he was in high school. So it was just that 4-year window. And of course, I'm like, I don't know, that's for 13-year different. Yeah, so I was probably like 6, 7, somewhere in there. Just wanted to hang with the boys, obviously. I'm sure you know that with anything with your kid. And then obviously just kids in general want to be with the adults. And so our thing was the Bears, and especially the draft. And that's back in the day when it was Saturday, Sunday.
Talk that talk.
Kids out here. Not this Thursday through Saturday mess. And you got what, like the first 3 rounds on Saturday and the rest on Sunday.
Right.
Oh, man. And we would just be – my dad, he couldn't just sit there and watch it. So he'd always be working on something. And it was my job to kind of keep an eye on it so that when the Bears were coming up, that everybody could put full attention on the Bears. And I'd be kind of helping along with whatever we're doing. But it was like family projects around the house, tons of different things like that, and just sitting there for like 5 hours each day at least of just waiting on Bears pick after Bears pick after Bears pick. God, I miss those days.
So one, that is the off the top. Ryan's off the top is the off the top for this show. I'll just piggyback it slightly. I can't remember because, man, the Bears missed a lot. If either they missed or the player they drafted, we weren't sure about it. Like you think about Urlacher playing some safety coming out of college, really playing. I believe they had him on a strong side first, and then they moved him to inside linebacker. So you didn't really know, if they hit and this was my dad wasn't around there, but Cal Long, I can remember Hub Arkish being upset. And he apologized and said he was wrong. I mean, we all do that in the draft. I'm not trying to take any shots at him. We all.
I remember distinctly Hub Arkish not liking the guy.
I mean, but when you look at when you look at how many reps he got at college since he was a baseball player and the issues that he had, you can't knock Hub for feeling like that.
Oh no.
I just think about my dad and how football was like the first sport. I mean, it was football and basketball, but I think football may have been the first sport. No, it's probably basketball may have been the first sport we really bonded. I don't know. It's one or the other. You know what I'm saying? I can remember, and this isn't a draft moment, but I can remember him getting on me for thinking the Bears were going to win. And this is like during the Jim Harbaugh era, and the only weapon he had was Tom Waddle. And I just remember being in my room and him being in the front, and Waddle like catching a touchdown pass and getting nailed, and I'm like, yeah. And like you said, that the draft, to piggyback what you said, it makes me think about my dad, because that was one of the things that we really connected on was sports and food. You know what I'm saying? Like I watched cooking shows because he watched cooking shows. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things where the draft was like. I mean, I think I may have been more. I was probably more draft heavy than him at certain points, but he probably just had it on the radio and on the television. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's the thing about the draft is memories. And you know what? I'll say this: as Bears fans, we deserve better because you should be enriching my memories more than just me putting up with you not getting it done. Right. You know what I'm saying? There should be times where, for instance, like a kid from Mark Carmel in a year that you needed a quarterback and you went down and got Cade McNown, that you should have went up and got Donovan McNabb. You know what I'm saying? Like as Bears fans, we deserve our team, not when it's desperation like it is now with people trying to keep their jobs, but being sly and witty and clever and knowing, the value on this, even if I have to give up something, I know in the long run it's going to play out, and that's the second part of the off top right there. As Bears fans, we deserve better than what we've been given because it hasn't, out of all the teams in the city in the last 30 years, they've probably done the least. Like maybe the Bulls.
If you're just containing it to the draft,
right? Maybe the Bulls are right slightly above them, with just having the Derrick Rose era, basically. And you could say, well, the Bears had the odd Bears or whatever, who at least made it to a Super Bowl. But you know what? And
you know what I say to that though? Let's look at the last 10 years. The Sox are killing it drafting. The Cubs killed it for drafting for a while there. The Blackhawks killed it for drafting. Yeah, we're waiting on the Bulls a little bit, but they had an old regime that wasn't getting it done. You've had multiple regimes being the Bears, and you still can't get it done in the draft. And when's the last great draft class that we just look at? Like, I feel like we still look at Jimbo Culvert's draft as the last great Bears draft class.
I think we've had some, but the problem usually is the first rounder isn't the one we hit on. Did Briggs and Peanut come in at the same? I can't remember who came in with Briggs because I remember it was
Peanut. I believe it was Peanut.
You got last year's draft, which wasn't bad. The Cody Whitehair.
I think you nailed it though. Like if you don't have that first rounder, that like creme de la creme backbone of your draft, you got to hit on a lot of guys in those later rounds to really.
I mean, you got to think there's a lot of missing running backs from. I mean, and they may have had one of them may have had here like from Rashawn Salam to Curtis Enos. I mean, like what? I mean, I could imagine even then Mel Kiper's head exploding, taking a running back as high as, and that was a different era in the NFL, right? But still, just
you want a little tease? We're gonna do up for grabs. Running back is going to be one of my focuses for that.
Okay. But yeah, as Bears fans, Ryan and myself feel you got to do better, and I mean consistently better. You have to have us. Listen, the team that the Bears beat the last time they were in the Super Bowl has had a 20-year run. I mean, and we kicked the crap out of them, right? And they've had a 20-year run, and we deserve at least a 10 or 15-year run. The team to the north.
We settled for 5 right now. My God.
True. But the team to the north has had, at least at quarterback, a 30-year run, basically. From Favre to Aaron Rodgers. It's even the Lions got the quarterback right for a period of time. I mean, just it's and I'm not saying it's opining necessarily for them to trying to get a quarterback either, but still. Listen, whenever this regime is out, you got to really set it up properly the next go round. And I'm not the person that's always you rarely hear us on the show because we don't think it's going to happen rallying against Ted Phillips, but he needs to be gone too. You know what I'm saying? Because this is during his run that all this is taking place, that you have not been consistent contenders. And he's been there for a long ass time. You need to install someone else who has bought the groceries in a successful franchise to come and run this organization as one of the pillars of the NFL. It deserves that, and you need to step up to the task and get it accomplished and move the hell out the way. And I'm not to say that this ownership is meddling, but this ownership allows mediocrity, sustainable mediocrity, because of familiarity. And you need to stop and you need to be a little awkward with somebody and because perhaps that could get you in a place where you can consistently put out a product that the city deserves as being a charter member of the NFL.
And kind of just to piggyback off your point of some of the other division teams, look at Minnesota. They haven't had maybe Dante Culpepper for a little bit. They haven't had the quarterback. They still put up these crazy good offenses all the time. Why can't you do that? Like, you look across the league. There's so many teams that get it done. When the Titans had a great quarterback, maybe Steve McNair the last time.
Dude, Minnesota, at least, and kind of what you're saying, has had good offenses run by guys that Brad Johnson left there, went down to Tampa Bay, won a championship. All right. Warren Moon. All right. Randall Cunningham. You know, like these guys at the time in their career may have been on the other side, particularly Moon and Randall Cunningham. Randall Cunningham came back from cutting marble in Vegas, right, in Nevada, with his business, a marble cutting business, I believe, at the time. But look at what they did. Even if they were getting quarterbacks that were long in the tooth, they went and got it done consistently to make sure their offense worked. And it's just time, bro. It's just, consistent time, not these years where they like the 12-4 and nobody sees you coming. After that year, and this goes back even to the Lovey years where it was never year after year after year after year after year. You know, like that. It's difficult, but it's not as difficult. It's just you not doing what you need to be, like doing what you need to do, and you're clearly consistently doing the same thing that keeps you in the same situation.
Dude, like just how you said that. Oh my God. Like those 12-4 seasons are really fun, but I'm so damn sick of them being these isolated moments within like a 10-year period. You are completely right. Like, it is a joke to think that like every time the Bears are good, it's always just for one season. And if you don't get it done that season, game over with your little regime or your program, whatever you want to call it, your dynasty, whatever. And then it's over with. Like, and we're going to talk about this draft. When you get this quarterback desperate, that means you've been really fucking things up for a long time. And they are so desperate that the entire league knows how desperate they are. And it's like today or this season, like this offseason, they like woke up like, oh yeah, quarterback's important. We better really invest in that. When you had 6 years with this guy running this thing, you couldn't pick up any kind of developmental prospect. You couldn't pick up any other draft pick besides Mitch. The guy you trade up for that was completely – it hurts your brain sometimes when you really think about what the Bears have done just in the draft, just isolating the draft. And we know if you mess it up in the draft, good luck getting it fixed in free agency and all that other.
My problem is this. Don't you want to be like these successful organizations? Like,
especially they compare themselves to the Steelers and the Packers.
Right. Like, don't you want, like, so you see what they do. A lot of them, don't hire first timers, you know, like, or the guy that they get, he was the dude for years and years next to the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
or he came from maybe college, but he was the dude in college.
Dude, like you gotta stop trying to get by and trying to buy low, and hopefully the equity builds up in these people that you put in charge of something. No, you just need to buy, put the money down and get that guy. That's what you need to do. Like, go out and get the dude, all right, and install them. Stop pennying in. And I'm necessarily saying that they're cheap now, but the process they continue to use always usually fails. Stop with the first time head coaches, unless, again, like Ryan said, it's a guy from college, a terrific coordinator. You know what I'm saying? Like, not like Nagy had a whiff at coordinating,
right?
Like
month
Ryan,
or two?
Yeah, like right if that, because we still aren't clear when Andy Reid took it back,
right?
Like Ryan Pace. You had Ballard right there, and he told you he didn't want to sit there and have Ted there, and you told him to kick rocks. Instead of being like, you know what, you're probably right. Like, stop effing it up.
I know.
Like, damn.
And
go ahead.
Can we care about wins and losses and stop liking these freaking people too?
Right.
Can you pretend you're a business? My God.
That's the problem, though. The money is already in the bank. So it allows them to sit there and hang out with their friends instead of, like you're saying, a real friend is going to be like, you know what? I need to step down because this isn't moving right. All right. That's what at one point a real friend is going to be like, listen, it took forever and ever and ever in the day. But John Paxton finally was like, you know what? I need to get out the way. Now, he should have done it 5-6 years ago, but he finally owned up to, under my direction, this isn't getting us to where we need to get, and how long is the Derrick Rose excuse going to last? Right. So like, it's just, come on, man. Like, all right, this one bite at the apple with these two, cool. All right. And if they strike lightning and we have to sit here with them and they prove us wrong, I guess, all right. But it's just stop doing the same shit. It's the definition of insanity.
I agree. If you're going to hit something, you better hit it right away. Otherwise, get the hell out of the way. Because I am sick and tired of this Ryan Pace. Like, we kind of get it done in the draft, but we miss on everything that's crucial.
Right. Totally. So listen, you just brought it up. Let's get into the draft. The draft takes place tomorrow. Be the first day. Make sure you check out the Under Center podcast. We sat there. We had Hogan with us this week, talking about the upcoming draft, his mock draft that just dropped, what to expect, what he's been hearing. Also, we gave our bold predictions. Do you want my bold prediction?
Oh yeah, hit me with that.
And I want you to give me a bold prediction. All right.
My
bold prediction, and this is the stuff I don't believe is going to happen. All right, for my bold prediction.
Mine is too.
My bold prediction is the Bears move up, but they draft a playmaker and someone of like Waddle, Chase, or Devontae Smith. That's what I gave on the Under Center podcast. Is my bold prediction. What's yours, Ryan?
I hope this counts. I'm trying to be bold. I really don't think this guy is going to be available at 20. But my bold prediction is somehow Christian Darrisaw falls to them at offensive tackle, and they get one of the better draft picks of the first round.
That'd be dope. If you can sit there, because that's the thing too. Man, listen, to be honest with you, another thing, member of the NBC Sports, we had Glenn Morgan on, and he gave his mock draft. And the thing that everyone is talking about now is moving down. Even like with Hogue, and I don't know if me and you talked about it in the past, but to me, I wouldn't be upset if they tried to get more value in the second round, back of the first, a little bit further back in the first and second round, and try to get some more ballers up in here. I don't know about the quarterback. There has been some Kellen Mond discussion that's been popping in the streets. A lot of reps down there at Texas A&M.
Don't let Phil hear that.
Oh well, Philly. That's my guy. But there has been some Kellen Mond discussion as far as people have sat there. Got one with Chris Sims from PFT. He's high on Kellen Mond, not high on Zach Wilson. I think he had Kellen Mond over. I think he may have had him over. I don't know if he had him over both Justin Fields and Trey Lance, but he definitely had him over one of them at least. I think he. Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, Adam Hogue likes Kellen Mond too. Doesn't he?
Hogue is Kellen Mond too. So you could be looking at a situation where perhaps the Bears look at him in the second round. One thing that Hogue did bring up is perhaps the Bears drafted him in the first round, and I asked, well, is that for the fifth year with first round picks? But he was just saying that maybe that could be part of it, but also it could be just because of wanting to make sure no one else grabs him. So they definitely have their quarterback. We'll find out. Partially, that's cool, but if it's not going to be the top five guys, which even with the top five guys, partially, I feel like how realistic is it that all these guys are going to hit? I've talked about it before. In my lifetimes, there's only been 2 drafts with 3 quarterbacks drafted in the first round, all hit, and that was 83 with Elway, Marino, and Jim Kelly. And then
only took Mitch Trubisky to hold back the
ruin
last.
To ruin that one. Good point. Great point. And then, of course, the Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, and Phillip Rivers draft. I mean, how often, like, do you have a draft where 4 or 5 quarterbacks drafted in the first round are all going to be legit quarterbacks? It is easier to transition from college with the fact that these pro offense have snatched up a lot of schemes from college, but still to ask for that is asking a lot. So partially in my head, it's like, even if they jump up to grab a quarterback, I feel like the one that they grab may be the one that misses. But then on the flip side, I feel like their bad luck may be the reason why they may actually get the one nobody wanted that turns into being good.
Right.
You know, like
maybe this is what they need. They need 5 guys to just go in the top 10, and then somehow the 6th guy is the right one.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. Like, we're sitting there and talk about, man, you wish you took Kellen Mond 5 years from now. Like, man, they actually didn't pick Kellen Mond, right? But yeah, part of me, a large part of me, wants them to stand pat. I don't really want to see that draft equity gone because I don't trust Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy hasn't done enough for me to think that he can grow any quarterback at this point. And I mean, some of this stuff definitely was Mitch, but also you have to put it on Matt Nagy for not getting more out of Mitch. Matt Nagy has said that himself. So
look at it. Didn't he start using Mitch kind of correctly this last season? That was the first time.
Bill Lazor did, but
right. We don't even know if Nagy did.
Bill Lazor did. But so it's a prickly situation because you necessarily don't trust the people that are making these decisions. Hopefully there has been some growth. Hopefully there has been some experience, and also maybe they brought in some more eyes that can kind of help them to self-evaluate what's going on inside and outside when talking about their organization, but also these players that are in this upcoming draft. And Ryan Pace isn't terrible at the draft. He's just suspect to most first round picks. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really been a big issue.
Well, I liked Phil and Shane when we interviewed them. I thought they made a great point because I've noticed this myself. Since that Mitch draft, it seems like he is drafting more football players rather than just the high athlete that is super raw and you need to coach him up. He's seemingly been going more of the football player that's accomplished, that has upside athletically. That's the guy I'm hoping he's kind of targeting more so than anything, especially in the early rounds. And if you can just hit on some of these athletic guys like Darnell Mooney, that was great. Like, you just hit on a speedster that seems to be a really quality receiving weapon. Maybe not a number 1. We'll see if he develops into that. But for a 5th round pick, you can do a lot with that. That's the kind of stuff you need. And then the early rounds, you got to have that guy that you can count on. Like, it can't be a Leonard Floyd or a Mitch like, oh, man, we got the best pass rusher. We got the best quarterback if we can just develop them. You don't know if some of these guys are going to develop. And like you talked about those top 5 guys, you know why we know that some of them are going to fail? Because some teams are going to draft them and they're not the right situation for that player.
Great point.
And that player is not going to succeed regardless of how much talent and skill that they have. And that's just going to happen. So personally, I love the idea. Get yourself a guy that you have a ton of games, ton of tape over. You're Mr. Scout, Ryan Pace. You love scouting. You love looking at that. Do your thing then. Get a ton of tape on one of these players and select a guy that you know can help you for the next 5 years.
And listen, going off of that, maybe that's why some of these guys that may go in the second are appealing to them in a Davis Mills or Kellen Mond, because these guys have gotten a lot more reps than some of these other cats have gotten. You know, you got years with Kellen Mond down there, and the fact that he switched coaches. So from Sumlin to Jimbo Fisher. So you who knows? But definitely nail that first one. I'll say this much: go get the offensive lineman, man. Get the offensive lineman. You know, like that. It's not sexy, but that player can help this team for a decade. Especially if you can set the tone with a nasty offensive lineman. You know what I'm saying? Look at and they had years where they had holes. But look at what Olin Kreutz brought to the offensive line.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
You know, just the leadership, the nastiness, you know what I'm saying, to know that we're not effing around. Yeah, like you need someone. Look at his body betrayed him, but look at what Kyle Long had brought to that offensive line. You know, you need a guy to set the tone on that O-line so that it's a unit that isn't a hindrance. It's one of the pluses. Because if the O-line is it's a plus, the run game, and even if it's not necessarily a air out passing, it's more play off the run with play action and sit there and try to use slants and things of that nature, quick passes. It's going to be a lot easier if that quarterback is clean majority of the time, man. So it's not sexy, but go ahead and finish that off, man, and get a tackle. Get a guy that's going to play right this year. There's no reason to toss out a cheap when I'm talking about as far as how much offensive lineman O tackles cost on the left side. You got a cheap O tackle with Charles Leno Jr. No, we don't want him here for the long haul after this contract is out. But for right now, you let him play over there this year. Let the kid play on the right side, and then we'll figure out next year if the kid's going to move to the left, and you have to find another offensive right tackle. But that's the sound decision to make. There's no reason because listen, Trey Lance. If you followed this show, you know for 2 years me and Ryan have been Trey Lance guys. All right, in D's basement, we would start just telling y'all how we like Trey Lance. Trey Lance is a project. No doubt. So he's not playing this year. I'm not dissing it, but it's a project. Do you trust Matt Nagy to get the best out of him? And don't tell me that it's similar to Kansas City, because do you think Matt Nagy's the reason that Patrick Mahomes is successful right now?
Or Andy Reid.
Right. So don't tell me that. It could be the same thing in Kansas City. Yeah, but Andy Reid isn't here. So don't hit me with that. You know what I'm saying? So Go out there, you know what I'm saying? Get the O-lineman. Listen, part of me, it'll be exciting if they trade up for a quarterback, but it's still going to hurt to not have first-round picks for 2 years at least.
Right. And then how many picks are you giving up in this draft on top?
Exactly. So and then again, do we trust the people that are supposed to grow the football? And when I say that, I'm talking about raise up that player and take them to another level from a college all-star to a pro bowler in the NFL.
Yeah, you think.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, if you think about with Trey Lance, I mean, let's say they go after him, he falls somehow. Even though I don't think he's the likely one to fall. It feels like Justin Fields for some reason. But let's say he falls and you go up there. Like you said, it's a project for a year. This dude is jumping from North Dakota State to the NFL, the NFC North. It's going to be a huge jump. I think he can do it over time, but it's not going to happen right away. And then on top of it, what if all these people get fired? So the next regime has to work with Trey Lance?
Mm-hmm. They have to, because one, they're not going to have any first round picks.
Exactly.
But I'll say this though. The faller, if Mac Jones doesn't go 3, that may be the faller, because the place that you would see him would probably maybe be New England. I don't know if Denver. I don't know if he's the Denver type. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if their new general manager is looking for someone more athletic. But he may listen. They got the weapons on the outside in Denver. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I don't know if he's Denver type. But if Mac Jones doesn't go to the 49ers, it'll be interesting to see where he falls or whatever. But listen, it'll be sexy to move up and get a quarterback. But again, so you're going to basically have we'll go 2 years back and the next 3 years, so 5 years altogether. You're only going to have one first round pick. You know, like that's crazy. Now, maybe you may be able to trade. Right, you may be able to trade somebody and get another first rounder, you know, but also then where are you going to replace that player? But like you said, Ryan, it's hard to win. That's easier for a team that's already in the championship window, because one, getting that first round out may help your cap situation if you have nice vets already that you want to maintain and keep on your roster. But we still have too many holes. Offensively, at least too many holes, and defensively, you still have a hole at quarterback. You hope that Marcus Trufant can be good this year, and perhaps you can get you a youngster that can train behind him and come in case anybody gets hurt, but not as well as Jalen Johnson, but someone in that vein in the second. I don't even really want to say the second round. I would say third or fourth round when it comes to cornerback. I want those first 2 picks at least to be offensive players. Yep. Tackle, quarterback. If a quarterback falls, then tackle. That's the way I look at how the interior of your line seems fine for the time being. And I mean, I'm not drafting the center in the first round anyway. Me personally, if someone's not a Sam Mustipher fan, like we were having a discussion with Phil and Shane last week, or just saying as far as you may be able to upgrade from that situation. But yeah, man, it's you just got to be sound with this draft. Don't get too cute. If you do have a guy, like the thing is, I would love for this draft to be a situation where these teams have been selling wolf tickets, right? The Carolinas now talking about, well, maybe we'll take a quarterback. The Falcons, even though they haven't as much, but still, you get what I mean. The teams that have kind of been like, well, there's a chance, we still may go quarterback, right? I want them to get nothing, right? And then still draft the receiver or the offensive lineman or whatever player that they plan on drafting, and to the point where the Bears can make a come up because no one's trying to move up to get these quarterbacks like these teams are hyping up for them to get these quarterbacks. So they don't have to give up as much to move up. Like I know it's not true and it's not going to happen, but you could give up a 1 and a couple of 2s from the future, because a lot of teams, Denver's not trying to move up. New England's not trying to move up to get a quarterback. So it allows you to move up and not have to pay as much because it's going to be cheaper. It's going to be cheaper tomorrow night than it is like it was a month ago for the 49ers. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would prefer to happen. I prefer them to stand. I would love for our team to move up and get the next great quarterback. But the history of our team dictates that's not going to happen. So I'm going to stay over here with cold feet, all right? And I'm going to play it safe and sound and build out this team so that when you do have a young quarterback, he's not going to get his brains beat in.
Right. How about instead of cold feet, you're here like licking your wounds or like tending to the wounds because you're a battered Bears fan.
I'm in the shower on the floor in fetal position, crying like I just got assaulted. Unfortunately,
like the tears and blood run down.
Right, dude. It's come on, man. I mean, again, I'll say this, and the thing about a first round pick, it always gives you hope. So at least with our sorry team, we're back at the hey, there's Christmas, right? It can always change with Christmas, right? We're back. Christmas is the dog. It's Christmas Eve. You know what I'm saying? So
my God.
Yeah, dude. So that's my emotions as far as also my thoughts. I would love, but see, this is the thing too, Justin Fields falls. I'm gonna be honest with you. When people keep saying Justin Fields is the next Cam Newton, I kind of don't want the next Cam Newton. Now, mind you, Cam actually those first few years didn't affect winning as much. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you really look at the record down there in Carolina, he didn't affect winning as much. He did have his MVP year, make it to the Super Bowl, but still, like, look at how long you had to wait and a precipitous drop after him getting beat in. And Cam is 2.5 inches taller than Justin Fields. You know what I'm saying? So again, now if you're telling me my druthers are below average quarterback or Cam Newton, of course I'm taking Cam Newton, right? Especially young Cam, but like, I mean, I used to dislike all the design runs that Cam Newton had. It was like, wow, y'all are really beating this kid up. You know what I'm saying? And you saw what happened the last 3 years from the beatings that he had taken. You know what I'm saying? So again, I will prefer to have someone better than no one. But if it's the next kid, like, dude, I want my black Aaron Rodgers. All right, can I get that? Can a brother get that?
I don't think the Bears want that, so I don't know. Aaron Rodgers, yes. Black, I don't know. You lost me there.
Yeah, so that's just my thoughts. But what about you, Ryan?
I think you're right with the Christmas. Like, don't look at this as a 5-year-old on Christmas. Be like the 20-year-old. Get that tackle that's going to be sitting there right at 20. It's not sexy. It's not the gift you want to race down the stairs to open up. But when it's like in your life and you realize how important it is, you're like, whoa, this really helps me out in a lot of ways. Not even knowing, but it really brings everything together for me. That's what you need if you're the Bears. You need that one tackle that can salvage this offensive line. I love the idea of trading back. That would be great. Pick up assets. If you can get multiple picks in this top 60. I mean, this is a deep draft in areas that you need badly.
Right. Great
Even
point.
quarterback is somewhat deep in this draft, and they're talking about next year is dog shit at the quarterback position. Now it's obviously way early. Maybe some guys will develop, but there's usually a good handle on, a draft class of quarterback coming up. And if they think it sucks, it probably does.
But nobody saw Zach Wilson coming from last year either. So
and he might be busting out sooner than later.
You're right, but we don't know who next year's Zach Wilson will be.
No doubt. There's going to be some.
There's going to be someone that's going to light college football up. You know what I'm saying? And also it's a thing too. And I'm with you. Usually people know when the good class is coming. I mean, it may be the Christian Ponder, Blaine Gabbert year where it's just overhyped or whatever. But I feel like those two guys may be in this draft up high. We just don't know it yet. You know what I'm saying? Because just you're asking a lot. And listen, maybe I'm wrong because the AFC is full of quarterbacks. So maybe quarterbacks are just falling off the tree right now, and they're all going to make it.
God willing.
But I'm just saying, from being in this dysfunctional relationship that we've been in as Bears fans, the proof is, and I mean, listen, we're young Bears fans, all right? I'm early 40s. Ryan's in his mid 30s. Ryan, you in your mid 30s?
Early 30s.
Early 30s. All right. And we're sitting here and with that, but there are people that are 30 to 40 years older than us who haven't seen consistent quarterback play from the Bears. It's the curse of the Windy City Gridiron, and not the
Sid Luckman curse,
not Lester Whitfong. I'm saying actually the Bears, the monster. Yeah, the curse of Sid Luckman's father with the pistol. Right? It's like I shot a man. So yeah, it's one of those things where, dude, I can't believe it. Listen, I would love, and we've said it on here, I love to go into every Sunday like we got that man.
Right.
Listen, the defense isn't as good as it was. You're right, man, but so-and-so, boy, he'll put up 400 on their ass real quick. Like, we've never went into a situation like that where it was. Now, of course, we had the wolf tickets of Jay Cutler, but I told you, after that first year, I was like, "Oh snap, he's Jeff George." Right after the first,
right?
During the year
that they were able to turn into something. Okay,
right? I was like, dude, I'm like, damn, this dude is Jeff George, man. Like, this is not gonna work. During that season, Jay Cutler's first year, I was like, oh man.
Yeah. You start seeing the 4 interception games, you're like, oh boy.
When that footwork is in your face in your home team uniform, you pay a lot more attention to it. All right. It's like,
move the feet.
It's like, Shorty, the line is blocking for him, and Shorty is still throwing from his back foot. He refuses.
No weight transfer.
Right, exactly. Right. Nah, man, all back foot. Right.
Yeah.
All right, exactly. I got the arm. So yeah, man, it's
that's what I want. Give me extra picks. To me, this is the 4 biggest needs in this order: quarterback, offensive line, wide receiver, corner. Mm-hmm. To me,
I'm with you on that. I think you're correct. If you flip corner and wide receiver because the value is in it's the third, let's just say the third, you got a corner that's just like, yeah, he may be something. I can understand, but they definitely need another playmaker.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we don't know what may happen with Allen Robinson next year.
Exactly. And I think you could argue one or the other with cornerback or wide receiver. I'd personally go receiver above cornerback. But if you got, let's say, 3 or 4 picks in this top 70, you could address a bunch of those needs because this draft is built at tackle, wide receiver, corner, and maybe even a little bit quarterback if you count some of these second-round, second-tier type quarterbacks as viable options. I have no problem with them trading back, being boring, picking up extra picks, and getting some guys. Or if you stay pat, just get that tackle. The value is going to be insane because there's not going to be a quarterback there. You don't have to give away draft picks to move up. And you can still, if you want to trade up, I get it. If you love Justin Fields or one of these guys, fine. But if you love Davis Mills or Kellen Mond, trade up in the second round. Mm-hmm. It'll be way less of a cost. And you still get the tackle in the first round, and you set yourself up for success potentially. Because if you don't come away with an offensive line fix with Andy Dalton as your quarterback, good luck trying to make the playoffs next year.
Great point. Well, yeah, I'm in total agreement with you. You know, you need to, even for whatever the quarterback could be in the future, you need to make sure this line is going to be right for that kid. All right. So if that kid doesn't appear this year, you can still start getting that offensive line humming in the right direction. You know, so that I'm with you 100% on that.
Can I throw a question out there? I just thought about it. Do the Bears flirt around with going after maybe a Jimmy Garoppolo if they're going Mac Jones at number 3? Do you even consider anything like that?
No, because because Andy Dalton has been healthier than Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's true.
You know, like, then it's like, how much like somebody else's trash are we willing to break over here right now? Like,
it seems like that's the Bears style. I'm trying to get in the Bears mindset.
So how upset are you trying to make me? So a quarterback room, a Jimmy Garoppolo, Andy Dalton, and Nick Foles, right? Like, how much money is that alone? But like, no, I know this isn't true.
For quarterback in the league and get
exactly. And the worst production out of it. It's like the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other, basically. And yeah, it's like, no, dude. Like, no, I'm with no, dude. Don't even try. Like, let him go back home to New England or whatever. You know what I'm
back
saying?
Home's Eastern Illinois. Come back.
No, I meant to let home before that. No Jimmy over. No Jimmy over here. And listen, Jimmy's straight. Jimmy is straight. But I mean, the thing is, we've seen his ceiling now. You know what I'm saying? Like, the health issues aside, we know he's not a guy that could. Listen, the team doesn't work through him. You know what I'm saying? It's around him, but it doesn't work through him. And we're looking for somebody at some point that could rising tides rise all ships. We want the quarterback to be that guy here at some point, where he takes a team that will be 8-8 and he makes them I guess now, well, not 8-8 now, well, 8-9, and he makes them I know, right? He makes them 12, and that's weird, 12-5. All right, like, I'm gonna have to recalibrate my brain with the 17
I'm so
games
even
now.
with 16.
Right,
it's
exactly.
just like automatic off the hip.
So it's time to get that person. You know, so like, the thing is, it's the worst part about the Bears. I bet you they look at how much these quarterbacks are getting paid. Like, man, we paying somebody like this. But this is the thing: you don't have to pay some of these other positions, because the quarterback, you can use him to get away with not filling out everything. Look at Green Bay. All right,
people will take discounts to go to a quarterback that knows what the hell he's doing.
Right.
There is no negative to really investing and trying to find a quarterback. Yes, maybe you could lose some capital, and maybe you can't, necessarily compete every single year because you're trying to find that guy. I'm still wanting that tackle at 20. I'm not changing anything, but there has to be a recommitment and reevaluation of going and investing in that quarterback position. Like we talked about with Phil and Shane, if you're not going to go quarterback in that first round, you better be thinking it second round.
Facts. That's totally the truth, and I'm in total agreement with you. All right, so is it that time?
Is it?
Yes, that's time.
Time to go
up for grabs with Ryan B-Ski.
Can we start positive or negative?
Let's end positively.
Okay. My first up for grabs, keeping it draft style. Your Kenneth Davis and everyone listening from their homes, as well as myself, personal least favorite draft pick made by the Bears in your draft viewing years. Easy. If you want, I can go first.
No, I got it. Easy. Cade McNown.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
Playboy Mansion Cade, UCLA. This was the Donovan McNabb. This is the worst part. So they should have went up and got Donovan McNabb. I think the Bears may have had like the 9th or 10th pick at this time. Right?
Yeah, they were like 8 or 9, I thought.
Yeah, somewhere around there, right? So it's like, man, they're not going to move up. So you see him go to Philly. This is the Keely Smith, Tim Couch year 2. Mm-hmm. And they sit there and trade down, right? And I'm like, they could at least take the kid from UCF. Now, mind you, at that point, it was like, dude, we didn't know Dante Culpepper could be good, even though we went on to find out he was good because he had 2 Hall of Fame receivers. And at one point, even Jake Reed came back to the Vikings. But remember, Dante Culpepper would have won an MVP if Peyton Manning didn't have one of his best offensive years that year. Dante Culpepper had like 39 touchdowns. Peyton had like 49 or something like that. But if Peyton didn't go off that year, that's Dante Culpepper wins the MVP that season. And I think that may have been a year. That may have been a year that Randy Moss kind of was hurt, and Nate Burleson was used, like they used Randy as a decoy. I think a little bit that year because Randy had like a bad Hemi or something. I think that was the same season. But at least it was like, okay, well, draft the UCF kid, and they sit there and they move down past where they could draft him. Because I think the Vikings took Dante Culpepper a pick or two before K. McNown, and these fools bringing K. effing McNown, man. It was worse than Rex. It was worse than it wasn't worse than Mitch because they moved up a spot to get Mitch. You know what I'm saying? But I'll say this: Mitch was better than K. McNown. All right, like K. McNown was like Mitch was better. I know people are like, what? Yeah, Mitch was better than K. McNown. All right, Mitch. Let me put it like this: Mitch hasn't had. I know this doesn't mean a lot. A losing season in the NFL yet. All right. I know this doesn't mean a lot, but man, if you could have seen K. McNown, y'all, oh my God. And the cojones on this dude, like K. McNown. Listen, to Mitch and K. McNown, this lets you know how bad K. McNown is. To Mitch and K. McNown and Rex Grossman is the same respect. I mean, in the same sentence, it's disrespectful to Rex Grossman. That's how bad K. McNown was. So for me, out of the Curtis Enos, out of Michael Haynes was one of them too that I had. Michael
Sexy
Haynes.
Rexy.
Right, Michael Haynes, but yeah, it had to be. And I'm just, if I can really just think about it, it had to probably be K. McNown as my least favorite Bears draft pick during my lifetime.
Yeah, for me, I'm not going to put Mitch up there, but he would be. And the reason why I bring this up is because of the spot. They were 4, right?
They were
3, and they moved up to 2.
Yes.
The last time they were that high, I believe, was 2005 when they were 4. And that's when they took Cedric Benson, who I did not want them to take whatsoever.
No,
I didn't like it one bit. I loved the idea of getting Aaron Rodgers as soon as Alex Smith was taken number 1. That's who I wanted. I wanted them to go quarterback because they were high up. He was the number 2 guy. If it wasn't Alex Smith, that's who I wanted more than anybody. And I kept hearing all the draft process. It's Cedric Benson, Cedric Benson, Cedric Benson. I was hoping that was just some kind of curveball. But no, Jerry, going to do Jerry and just go up there, get the running back at 4 that had way too much mileage and no playmaking skill. Rest in peace, Cedric Benson. Don't want to make this an attack on you, but just hated that draft pick personally.
Yeah, and it's funny. That draft, too, looks at you how times changed. And we talked about drafting running backs so high in the draft, especially running backs that aren't special. And even with Cedric Benson, a guy that had a lot of tread on the tires from how they was rushing him down there in Texas. But because you got Cadillac Williams. Was Cadillac Williams?
Yep, he went right after to the Bucks, and then Ronnie Brown went number 2.
Ronnie Brown. Y'all saying Ronnie, but just thinking like it makes no sense any of those guys went that high. All right,
running back to the top 5. That's never gonna happen.
Preposterous, but it makes so it just lets you know how different the NFL is and how sound-minded a lot more people are, because you could get you a running back, especially if you just want to have somebody that's just running like 3 yards in a cloud of dust, like Cedric Benson was, even though he had some success in Cincinnati, but still, what a waste. And again, rest in peace, Cedric Benson. But as far as at that value, yeah, that's a good one, Ryan. I agree with you, but I could still say over Cedric Benson, I'll raise you a Curtis Enos.
I had no problem with that. Curtis Enos was one of the worst running backs I've ever seen them draft.
Right, I'll raise you a Curtis. Like a man, they went out and was like, Bears boy. It's a lot of foolishness when we got to run. You know what? We have to at one point, maybe next week. Let's do a more in-depth look at some of the worst they're drafting the Bears have done. All right, let's go back to like the mid '80s at least. And look at some of the worst drafting that the Bears have done. We'll bring that to you next week.
Doozies in the '90s for sure. Whoa, baby.
All right, so what's your favorite?
So in terms of favorite draft pick, this is going to be total personal. I don't know why this one stands out because I just try to just think of it without really thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, and I actually have to look up the draft. I'll look it up in a second. I loved Alshon Jeffrey. I was freaking geeked when they picked him. I believe it was second round, but I just loved him. I loved him as a prospect. I don't know why. And wide receiver was always my favorite position growing up. So it was definitely an area I always wish the Bears would find one. Little did I know that quarterback's a lot more important than that. But I loved Alshon Jeffrey. That was one of my favorite Bears picks ever. It was like they actually picked the guy that I just really loved, and that did not happen very often.
Now, mine's, of course, isn't during. This has to be during my lifetime.
I put in viewing years, but I'll give you a little leeway on this.
It's got to be Sweetness. It's Walter Payton. I did live. I am old enough to have seen him play, even though I didn't see him like during the 70s or the early 80s for the most part. But around the Super Bowl and after, it's Sweetness for me. Then it's probably Gale Sayers and Dick Butkus. If I could think of a player during my the problem is I don't know how many times the Bears have like the Alshon one is a good one because I did like him. Alshon was in South Carolina. Was he in South Carolina?
Yep, South Carolina.
Was Spurrier was still there, I believe, at the time?
I believe so.
I believe that was towards the end of Spurrier being down there.
Yes.
The old ball coach. I like that one a lot because that one I have to admit too, that was actually someone that I wanted them to get that they ended up getting. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't happen. So the problem with the Bears is that rarely happens.
No, that's why it stood out so much.
They go left. Listen, I remember they talked themselves out of drafting Suggs that went to the Ravens, right? Because it was like Shorty's 40 time was too slow. And it's like, he not running a 40, right? It's basically how fast he can run in 3 feet, right? Like, and you look at how long he was there for Baltimore, and to know the Bears was like, not for us. It was just like stuff. The Bears always do that. So I'm trying to think during my viewing years, when was it someone that I wanted and they went out and they, I wasn't mad at the Rashaan Salam one. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't mad at that one.
That's how we're going. I wasn't mad.
I wasn't. That's how bad it is. I wasn't upset.
Anything to love.
I wasn't upset. They don't give you a lot to love, man. They really, 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 really don't. Or if they did, the guy just wasn't who the hell you thought the guy ended up being. So during my active years, I don't think they've drafted someone that I was like, ooh, get him. You know what I'm saying? And he turned out like it'd be Kyle Long, which I didn't know. I wasn't mad at Kyle Long when they drafted him. I didn't know. Brian Urlacher, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
I liked Roquan, but I
didn't want them to draft off the ball linebacker. I mean, I knew they couldn't get Nelson because he being a guard, he was going to go. I mean, for a guard to go that high, but he was so good that you knew he was going to go. I wasn't necessarily fiending for them to draft the off the ball linebacker like Alshon. It's played out, but it's still that high. And he's really, really good. You know what I'm saying? But he's not like Devin White.
He's not Brian Urlacher or close to that.
No, not yet. No, he's not. He's not Brian Urlacher.
By the way, that was the 2012 draft with Alshon Jeffrey, and Steve Spurrier was South Carolina till 2015.
Okay. Good one. All right, what you got next, Rye?
My last up for grabs is talking about, I guess, going back to our off top, just the viewing experience of the draft. And I'm assuming this might be a make an ass out of you and me type situation, but I'm assuming you're not intently watching every single pick, and there's definitely the perkiness of the Bears pick. So what are we doing in between these long droughts of Bears pick? Is there anything going on in the background? Obviously, the draft's going on in the background. Well, is there something else going on while the draft's going on?
I'm probably making out notes for us and Under Center and all the other shows that I'll be on. I'm probably trying to make out notes.
I can picture like the Santa Claus, like half moons with the legal pad.
Yeah, like I'm probably. That's probably what I'm going to be doing. Just making out notes. I mean, the thing is this. I'm worried about like not being ready and the Bears moving up, right? Like I'm over here doing this, making a sandwich or something, which I won't be, and then it's like
And the Bears are number 5.
The Bears moved up, and like dun 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 dun. It's like, oh snap. I still remember to this day, the Dwayne Wade draft, and I remember having company. And I remember sitting there, and all I wanted was Dwayne Wade. I was like, oh my God. I scouted him. I was like, okay, is Shorty really tall enough? I watched him. I said, Shorty, he putting down that work. He tall enough, right? Regardless if he's going to play point or because that was the question, was going to be a point guard, was going to be a shooting guard. And I saw how he was killing in Marquette. And he turned me into a guy. I was like, man, I want Dwayne Wade, not in a sexual manner. And I remember watching that draft and Miami jumping up and taking him. And I remember telling my company, like, we can go now. I was like,
it was one of the most deflating Chicago drafts of all time.
On top of that, that was also because Jay Williams had just tragically hurt himself. And to see them have to take Kirk Heinrich when they just drafted a point guard. Initially, and one of Kirk's best years was his rookie year, and he was like sick the first month, and I think he had the flu or something, and he played well his rookie season, but it never felt well to me because of Jay Will being hurt and then having to go out and to replace him. And I know that's basketball, but getting back to this, I would say in the past, like I was just saying with when in the past, I was probably rolling up. That's probably what I was doing. You know what I'm saying?
You and me both, brother.
I know. But with this one, I have to do under center when they pick and after.
Right.
I think
don't roll up when they trade up to 5 and they need your.
I'm not rolling up. So I mean, that's just you got to just chill out and just sit there and relax. So hydrating, and I mean really with water, hydrating, taking it all in, getting ready to come up with some witty stuff to put down for our show and Under Center Pod for NBC. That's really what my focus is going to be during the draft, to be honest with you. Trying to come up with different ways to different ways to talk about the players that are being drafted, to not just regurgitate everything that someone else says and do a little bit of my own searching and stuff like that. So that's really what my focus is going to be during the draft.
Yeah, I think for me, like the draft's always on, is blasting so that I can keep tabs on everything. And I like, as soon as you hear that chime, ding, 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 you can just tune right in. I'll probably be gaming on the side, though.
That's a good one.
I think I'll be doing a little bit of gaming.
What game? What game?
MLB The Show. Ooh. 21. Me and my buddy. We started up when I was in Vegas last weekend, we started up a franchise on his PlayStation 5. And we were going to just play online when I get back to Arizona. Find out there's no online franchise mode. Huge bummer. And then PS5 has a remote play feature. So I can log into his PlayStation in Vegas from here through the internet. And he just needs to start it up, and we can continue the franchise we started in Vegas and play it together. So that.
So wait. But you don't have a PS5, right?
No, PS4. But PS5 you can remote in with a Mac, iOS, Android, PS4, or another PS5.
So what are you using to play? Are you using your regular controller? What are you?
Yep, I'm just on PlayStation. It's his screen on my screen.
Okay, that's dope.
I know, it was so cool. So that'll probably be some of the draft, I'm thinking.
Okay,
hit a few dingers on the side.
And listen, you guys are playing against each other. You're on the same team.
Same team.
Okay. Yeah.
We drafted the team together. We're on the same team.
What team?
We went with the Rays. Did a fantasy draft. Tatis was our first pick. And we got a little Shohei. Oh, he's become my favorite player. I can't even hide it anymore.
You shouldn't. I mean,
if he stays so excited.
He stays healthy. Goodness gracious.
But really quick, before we divert anymore, Dwayne Wade, kind of feel like you're a little bit of a bitch, but whatever. Just hated him.
Put some respect in that man's name.
I don't like what he did in that free agency to the Bulls, keeping him on the hook.
Oh, well. You know what? He did the right thing because he won 2 more titles.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Bulls didn't deserve it. Listen, and he kind of wasn't lying. He did end up here. So it lets you know that he had interest in coming here. But Pat Riley was like, dude, I can make it happen. I can get you to both of them.
Paxson? Is Jordan coming with them too?
That's what I'm just, but dude, you gotta. That's the Chicago problem, not being imaginative and going far enough. Like, yeah, we cleared out 2 slots. Why didn't you clear out 3? Why weren't you prepared to clear out 3? You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, you got to be willing to go to the depths of hell if need be to pull this off. You know what I'm saying?
This is a blue collar city. We work around here.
So, dude, you again. If one of these quarterbacks is that guy, I mean, wouldn't give up that capital, especially when the guys that are considered closer to the locks, even though there's a large variance on Zach Wilson. But right now, it's basically deemed that Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson are locks, and you don't have a chance of getting either one of them. I would have the hesitation on giving up a lot for guys that other teams that are smarter than you are like, I'm good.
Right.
I'm good. So I'm just to let you know.
Didn't we just talk about previous years where the Bears are picking up the garbage that nobody else wants?
Exactly. Listen, man, I'm telling you about this Michael Haynes. Let me tell you about this Michael Haynes.
We got the next Troy Aikman from UCLA.
So yeah, man, it'll definitely be interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to tomorrow night. Thursday. I mean, it's gonna be popping, man. It's gonna be good to have a first round pick. It should be higher. That little punk ass 6-game win streak. That was a time management was supposed to interfere and be like, you know what? We going up in the draft, kill all of this. All right. Put broken Nick Foles back in there. All right, Nick.
Can we use the IR? Can we throw some guys on IR and save for next year?
Totally. That was the time to tank. All right, you didn't even have the fans in the stands. That was the time we all gave up. And even if we all knew the season was a wash, regardless of you getting to the playoffs. We knew this team wasn't going to be due-ish, and you sat there and you're picking number 20 when you should be picking at least 13. That's where you
unimaginative. That was your chance to be imaginative, right there.
With all these quarterbacks coming out, that was your time to be like, you know what, dog? If you're 13, you don't have to give up all of that stuff to try to get one of these kids.
Exactly.
So like that's just common sense. Like, and again, you're not worried about people filling up the parking lot because nobody can come to the stadium. Right.
And you know you're going to get rid of Mitch. You're not even afraid of Mitch's feelings.
So listen, right then, George McCaskey should have went down there and told them this. You guys have another year, but we are pulling the plug on this season. All right. So you don't have to try to win out to keep your jobs. You got another year, but we want to get into this draft with these quarterbacks to secure our future moving forward. And that's what I want you guys to start focusing on. That's what a leader does. And somebody be like, a leader should tell them to tank. A leader knows sometimes that losing and getting your money back through taxes, all right, is smarter than sitting there. And sometimes debt helps. Is basically what I'm trying to say, right? Debt, there could be a benefit, and you can still be in the black using your debt, all right? And that's what they should have done.
You're talking big picture thinking. Not enough big picture thinking at the highest spots of the Bears organization, which is scary as fuck.
And right there on that note, we will see you next week. We're going to definitely bring in some NFL guests to help break down, NFL experts to help break down the draft, perhaps get some guests that are close to some of the players drafted in there to give a different angle. Ryan's always doing a great job. Always make sure that you check us out to Flip. There will probably be a Flip this week, I would think, but depending on how the draft goes and how all that is, it's a lot. This is a real busy week here for us. But we always appreciate the time that you spend messing around with these guys. Always be safe and don't do anything stupid. And we look forward to breaking down the draft. And listen, have a great draft. Even if you don't get the players that your team wanted, still enjoy it, man. It's Christmas for football fans, to say the least. So that
everybody can be superstars on draft day.